I spoke with Anna Prosser-Robinson about the Waffle Crew, what she likes about Paladins, and her advice when it comes to streaming on Twitch.
I have learned in video games, in role-playing, and other games that I am not good at being someone who's in the back lines, and Paladins make really great tanks and really great instigators, and that's what I love playing. I think D&D especially, I love making split-second decisions or jumping in and starting something, and so Paladins and Paladins like Evelyn are really great at that. I also really love the story of kind of a devotee, a person of faith. I think that's really fun for me to play, and I relate to it on a deep level. And I think that I like to explore the concept of kind of walking to the beat of your own drum and letting people think what they will about that. I think that's fun for Paladins because most of the time when you're a Paladin and you're devoted to this deity, not everyone in your party will think that that's cool or even that it maybe even exists. And I like that. I think as someone who's been in esports and geek culture and various other things in my life that have maybe been less than mainstream, it's fun to play with that idea of just being yourself no matter what. I like playing Evelyn because unabashed optimism is really fun and really relaxing for me. Being able to just immediately take the positive angle on everything is irresponsible in real life, right? Sometimes we have to not think everything's going to turn out okay, and we have to kind of put our nose to the grindstone and do something about it, or we have to accept that something is not positive. But it can be really freeing to not have to make a lot of those decisions and just think everything's going to be okay and I'm really happy all the time, and that kind of brightens my day to take that perspective. And it reminds me that sometimes that is the best way to go about life, is like, hey, it is going to be okay, and it is okay to be super positive all the time, and it is okay to love on people. I think I would say that that's the impact that Evelyn has made on my life. Role-playing, being over the top positive and believing that things are going to be okay, and putting yourself out there in loving other people, that people are going to think it's weird, people are going to make fun of you, but the people who accept that love and love you anyway, and even though you're weird and over positive, are the ones you want in your life. And so it's kind of empowered me to be more positive and more outwardly positive. And I like that. That's why I like it. I think the characters that I have made that have been the least fun have been characters that have traits that I don't enjoy. So sometimes it can be tempting to make a character that seems really cool and epic, but that you don't maybe identify with on any level, or that you're not interested in exploring. So think about the traits that you would like to explore, the things about other humans that you think are interesting, whether by interesting I don't necessarily mean that you admire or that you want to be, but that you want to learn about or that you want to pretend. And so I would say for people who are rolling up a first character, identify a few things that you would like to either explore or that you would like to be, and then play that instead of trying to make it fit some sort of trope or some sort of what you think it should be. When people ask me how you play a paladin, they're usually asking how do you create devotion to a deity that is believable and is interesting and is not one-dimensional. And I think it's really important for me to think of Evelyn and her worship of Lathander as more like a relationship. That she really feels like she's getting something from him and giving something in return. She feels committed to him. She feels a certain sense of history with him. And so, of course, we as humans can't really have any better frame of reference than the relationships that we have in order to think about a deity. So I think about her faith as very much kind of a personal relationship that she has with this god, and that informs how she goes about talking about him. It's kind of like she has the biggest respect and the biggest crush in the world on Lathander. I think the key to a good D&D live stream is twofold. First, making it the most narrative and cinematic that you can, making it feel like it's a movie that you're watching and somehow get to participate in. And that's the second part, is making it as interactive and inclusive as possible. Inclusive from the sense of making sure that a community feels like they can interact or be part of the action or share with each other in the chat as they celebrate what's going on. And also that it feels accessible and that it feels like everybody is welcome to take part, either watching or commenting or chatting. So many little things have surprised me about Evelyn because she has grown so much every single session. Every time we play, I learn something new about her. I think the amount of depth that she has, even though she has this, at first glance, she looks a little one-dimensional because she has this optimism that she's always clinging to. But the fact that that optimism comes from sometimes insecurity and comes from a past that I haven't revealed yet, but has a lot to do with like how people told her to think about herself when she was young, and how even when bad things happen to her, her beliefs don't necessarily get shaken because they're so deep-seated. Those have been surprising and pleasant and exciting. I think that especially some of the things that have happened where, she died and came back as a construct, or she was alone for 50 years, those kinds of things, people are like, oh, that's going to break the Paladin, that's going to break the Paladin. But as I examine who she is, her beliefs and her positivity are so core to who she is that they're so unshakable that it's fun to figure out how she reacts when nothing can break those. Well, I've been performing and on camera and public speaking my whole life. I mean, since I was a baby, my mom used to put me in the center of a room and be like, look, my 1-year-old can talk, listen to her. And she was a speech teacher. So I have definitely been comfortable being on stage my whole life. But this is different in that it's something that I'm creating and that I love so much that sometimes putting myself out there on the show, and even more so putting myself out there with the extra content I make, like when Holly and I sang a song on the show, or when I did some writing about Evelyn and kind of put it out there for people to read. I do care about it and love it so much that it does feel scary to put myself out there creatively. And I credit this show and our awesome community with reinvigorating that part of me and that confidence of being able to say, I made this, I love this, and I'm putting it out there because I think it might brighten someone's day or somebody else might like it. And even if they don't, it's worthy to me to make it and put it out there in the world because that's important to me as a performer and an artist.